you can't really choose among all of these because each represents a part of your life, a certain stage in your career. I will say that we just finished the Azabudai Hills complex in Tokyo. It's now the tallest building in Japan.
Yeah.
And very, very big building. It's over 7 million square feet and very sizable in terms of its floor plate. Technology is very advanced. But the most important thing is that we've really essentially built a new urban center within an existing urban center. And that is a unique challenge, and one I think that is going to be quite successful. It's already full of people and full of activity. Our office goes 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, we organize our staff based on the time zone that they might be working in. We make ourselves available. We just simply build our own schedules around the needs of the job. But I think the more important question is not how do we do that. More important question to me is that the philosophy, the design approach, the value system among all 5 offices is identical. We begin with very, very realistic things.
Yeah.
We never enter a project with a preconceived idea. We let the building grow from we like to say it grows from the soil on which it sits. So that's the program, the cost, the schedule, the client, the users. I think the common element of excellence in general is frankly it's care. It's being really conscious of what you're doing, being really conscious of the way your building affects society in general. No building that is aesthetically superior but fails in terms of society or culture, that's not a good project.
Yeah.
So we really like our buildings to be part of the city. We like them to be part of culture, part of society. I like to say that we design for our client, but we also design for our client's client. In other words, when we design a museum, the client might be the museum,
yeah.
but his client is the person who goes to the museum,
yeah.
is the public.
Yeah.
So we like to design for the user's user. And that's extremely important, whether it's an office building, a hospital, a cultural institution like a museum. That philosophy permeates our work. With the Chengdu Museum, we fell in love with the landscape.
Yeah.
We fell in love with the mountains and the hills that surround the city. We fell in love, frankly, with Chengdu's vitality. It's a more relaxed place, more tropical in its atmosphere, and it was very welcoming as a place. It was the first time I had ever been to Chengdu. So we tried to make a building that felt as though it had always been there in a way, almost as the way the mountains had always been there. And that's why the geometry and the kind of beautiful stone forms that make up the museum are so critical to its success. And we wanted the people who use the museum to feel as though they were walking between mountains and between kind of prehistoric circumstances. This is our first Koli project in Kunming. It was interesting to me because in World War II, my father was stationed in Kunming.
Oh.
He was a pilot. And as you might remember, the U.S. had an Air Force base in Kunming, where my father was. And I had never known that until we started looking in the history of Kunming. So for me, it was really quite personal in a very important personal way. I try not to think of China as just one monolithic place. I think of China as being Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Chengdu. Each of those is almost like a country in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
When you design in Shanghai, you design for Shanghai.
Yeah.
You don't pretend like you're designing in Beijing. So I try never to talk about China as just one huge market. It's a whole series of communities. It's a series of different kinds of people, honestly, different kinds of food, different kinds of atmosphere. We really like our projects to feel as though they belong specifically to that place. Sustainability needs to be part of the design philosophy, the design attitude. I think that our work in sustainability actually goes beyond LEED, it goes beyond CASB, it goes beyond conventional measurement systems, because it's very much a part of the way we work. Sustainability for us is really like almost like our fingerprints. You know, it becomes very much a part of your DNA as a way to practice. I like that question a lot because it actually, the relationship of our practice to education.
Yeah.
Because I believe that you never graduate, okay? I believe that you're constantly learning. Even though you might have your degree, even though you might be a master's of architecture, you continue to learn through your whole life. So our practice is designed around learning. And we structure our projects and our approach to each project as if they are, the people in the design team were still in school. Every idea has value, doesn't matter how old or young you are. And then we look at each idea as if you were in school. And we evaluate, we use the very best ideas among each of the team members. So the school environment has now been translated to the working environment. And I think it's kind of seamless. Architecture, it can be driven by trends.
Yeah.
And we see that constantly. And if you have practiced for 40 plus years, as I have, we've seen many, many, many trends. And you're constantly asking yourself, when you design a building, you're asking yourself, at least we do, am I simply following a trend, or am I looking for a timeless answer to the question? We really look genuinely for the timeless answer. We look for buildings that are of their time. In other words, it's very important that the building be technologically as advanced at the moment that it's built, but doesn't freeze in terms of time. It has to last 100 or more years. So that's an obligation to look well beyond trends, to look at what truly lasts. We try to bring timeless values to our work. The technological evolution, of course, has increased. It's happening so quickly right now that it's a full-time job just to keep up with technological change. So in a way, we've had to reorganize our office and reorganize our thinking so that some aspect of what we do is really constantly examining technological innovation, technological change, and how it might help us. We're certainly using AI. We're certainly using ChatGPT. We find that we can create at least options to an answer, options to the answer of a question very, very quickly. Yeah. That's a good thing on the one hand. On the other hand, you have to be very careful not to become so quick and so thoughtless that you're not still paying attention to the basic functional values of architecture. Now, however, this is another interesting moment, because when we interview a young person for work in our office, we actually look at the hand drawing of that person's portfolio, because there's still no substitute in architecture, I think, for a direct feel for the work that you do. I mean, you have to almost feel like you bear the gravity of the building with your own body. And so we look for people who are sensitive to the human aspects of what a building really means to the user. Well, my advice, I think, is kind of obvious, and that is the future is in the hands of young architects. And we always have to ask ourselves, what values are we bringing to the future? What values are we bringing to our work? It's our responsibility as individuals to decide what's important and what's less important. We create priorities in the buildings that we do. We emphasize material use, we emphasize sustainability, we emphasize human touch and feel. That's what every young architect needs to learn how to do. But the other thing that's really important, it's extremely important, is that the world needs architects now more than ever. Now's the moment for architecture. Right now is the most critical moment in history to do beautiful cities, to do great buildings, to be responsible about the environment, responsible about our fellow human.